All right, we should be live now. And yes, we are officially live. Thank you guys for tuning in to this NFL draft live stream. And I mean, we kind of talked about Bryce Young already. We thought it was streaming. That's the funny part. Um, I mean, personally, Bryce Young is the pick that I agreed with. And so the only way I'm gonna be happy with the Panthers is if he actually performs well. Because we traded a lot to get him. I love DJ Moore as a Panther, but I mean, yeah, I just really wanted to keep DJ Moore, man. But we loaded up on weapons. The Bears loaded up on weapons too. They obviously traded down to, let's see, the ninth pick in the draft, but this could be the Panthers QB of the future. I think Bryce Young is clearly the best quarterback in the draft class, but I did want Anthony Richardson because it was shades of Cam Newton. Because the reason why I'm a Panther fan is because of Cam Newton, because he was so electric to watch. And what is your reaction to that? The pick is in for the Texans. Could they go Will Anderson Jr.? Or there have been rumblings throughout the day today that they could be going QB. So just give a quick reaction to the Bryce Young pick, and then we'll react to this Texans pick once the pick is in.
Yeah, I think Bryce Young is clearly the right move. Like I said in the short, he is the most proven quarterback in this draft. I think that's what you need for the Panthers. They have a shot at this division. It's a very weak division, and I think you need a guy who's proven he can play in the big moments. He's played really great on the big stage so far in college. Obviously, it's a completely different game than the NFL, but I think that he can bring it to the NFL level. And the Texans pick, it's going to be a very interesting pick. I feel like they're gonna go quarterback. I feel like they have to go quarterback. I feel like you wouldn't go out and get your head coach for the future if you wouldn't go quarterback here and try to build now. I understand that you might take Will Anderson Jr. here and then go after Caleb Williams next year, but I just don't think that's the right move. I think you got to get quarterback now, have him develop, and then hopefully hit on your other picks and make things trend in the right direction because Texans fans have been waiting for things to go in the right direction for a long time.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. And you mentioned the head coach hiring. D'Amico Ryans was an amazing defensive coordinator, and they do go quarterback. CJ Stroud is the pick for the Texans. Wow. All right. So CJ Stroud, I feel like no huge objections here. The Texans do go quarterback. I had a feeling they could go Will Anderson Jr. because D'Amico Ryans is defensive minded. They obviously just signed Jimmy Ward. They have a pretty good defense going. I thought they were going to add Will Anderson Jr., go with Caleb Williams next year, like you said, but CJ Stroud is the pick. And when a lot of quarterbacks go in the first round, in my opinion, it could be kind of risky because like Zach Wilson didn't pan out, Mac Jones is shaky, and I mean Daniel Jones was like the only good quarterback of the draft class, and I feel like it's risky to go a lot of quarterbacks in the first round. But all of these quarterbacks are talented. The Texans are a decent young team. Panthers are obviously going to compete because of their weak division. But Texans, I do agree they should have gone quarterback. They did draft C.J. Stroud. I think Anthony Richardson's on the same level, so I'm fully expecting the Colts to pick Anthony Richardson, and then we'll see where Will Levis goes to. I don't know if the Raiders are actually going quarterback because they just signed Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's going to send the wrong message to him. So I'd say like Will Levis could be a Tennessee Titan, or if the Colts go Will Levis, then I think the Titans would end up with Anthony Richardson. But I fully expect four quarterbacks to go through in the top 11. So just to quickly react to this Texans pick.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick. In my opinion, I'm the highest. on CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is gonna have the best future in the NFL. I just love what he does. I'm a big fan of mobile quarterbacks, so mobile quarterback like CJ Stroud is. I think it's going to be very, very good in the NFL, and I think that's why the Colts just take Anthony Richardson. I think they should go because he is such an athletic guy, and they already have had Matt Ryan. That experiment didn't seem to work, and you add a guy like Will Levis who doesn't play exactly like Matt Ryan, but he's pocket quarterback like Matt Ryan is, and I think that going that direction just partially doesn't make any sense. Why not try something new? Go for the most athletic guy in the draft, and I mean it could work out really well, especially since the O line is pretty good for the Colts right now. So I think that having that and Jonathan Taylor as well, and then also Michael Pittman, that offense is going to be really explosive. You can get Anthony Richardson on your team.
I agree, and I mean not the Texans, the Colts. They are rebuilding. Both the Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan experiment didn't work, so I feel like instead of beefing up the defense, you go, you have to go with the quarterback here. Instead of just signing quarterbacks like towards the end of their career, like Matt Ryan. Carson Wentz isn't really at the end of a career. I think he'll be a backup soon. But like they had Matt Ryan end of career. They even had Philip Rivers towards the end of his career too.
I mean, this Cardinals pick is honestly going to be pretty interesting because we've heard a lot of rumors this morning that they were listening to offers, a lot of trade offers for the number 3 overall pick. And we could see them trade down, or we could see them take Will Anderson Jr., who I think they should take. I mean, I feel like that's the obvious pick, but who really knows at this point? I mean, the Cardinals, they're in shambles right now as a team, as an organization. Uh, I mean, for all we know, they could surprise us and go quarterback for some reason. I don't think they will since I have Kyler Murray, but since have been so underwhelming these past few years, I think that's definitely possible. But I think Will Anderson is clearly the right pick here. But we'll wait. We'll have to see.
I mean, according to NFL.com's need analysis, they need a defensive lineman, cornerback, offensive lineman. They could draft an offensive lineman to help protect Kyler Murray, but obviously defense, defensive lineman, cornerback. I think Will Anderson or Jalen Carter is the move here if for your defensive needs. I think that's definitely the move.
It'd just be amazing to go from J.J. Watt to Will Anderson Jr. I feel like that's something you definitely want. Oh, whoa! We got news from Report. Texans are trading up to number 3.
What?
The Texans are going to get Will Anderson Jr.
What?
The Texans are trading for number 3 from Ian Rappaport.
How are they? What? What did they trade?
Oh my gosh.
This is
Will
actually crazy. Who
Jr.
did they trade? Who do the Texans have?
I don't know, bro.
Brandon Cooks, maybe? Or did he? I thought they
I
traded it. No, they traded Brandon Cooks already, I thought.
I really don't know.
I mean,
What? Wow.
you have to assume Brandon Cooks is just, yeah, Brandon Cooks got traded to the Cowboys.
Yeah. I guess they're trading all their future picks to get Will Anderson.
Wow, what a move. The Texans have a weak division too.
Holy cow. Will Anderson Jr. and C.J. Stroud in the same draft, and they have the what pick do they have? They have a later pick. I know that.
Shams is going off on the NFL, bro. Shams, bro, his screen time is probably extremely high.
Oh my goodness. Holy.
What?
There you go. Trade is being announced on the broadcast now. Wow. But, I mean, they already won this draft. I don't care what happens after this.
I'm curious to see what the Texans traded because a third pick is high. I mean, Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. I do think Will Anderson's the move, but man,
Holy cow.
I did not expect this. I mean, we could also see Dalvin Cook potentially getting traded. I will say, Eagles, you need a running back. You can either trade for Dalvin Cook or draft Bijan Robinson. The pick is
Honestly,
reportedly in for the Texans.
oh, here we go. Wait, jeez. My camera's gonna glitch for a second, but it's number 3 and 105 for number 12, 33, a 2024 first, and a 2024 third round pick.
Wow,
That is the full details of the trade.
that's crazy.
Wow.
DeMarco Ryan's starting off Houston with the bang. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, just to think, this trade, you have to expect other trades to happen as well.
Oh, of course. But going back to you talking about Dalvin Cook, I just feel like Dalvin Cook is the better move for the Eagles, in my opinion. Uh, I just think that drafting Bijan at 10 is a huge risk, and then he might not be there at 20. Sure, you can trade down, but I think you're better off getting out Dalvin Cook, who you know is proven in the NFL. He's
And the
one of the best back in the.
Texans do select Will Anderson Jr. Oh
Holy cow.
my God. You already had one of the best defensive players ever in J.J. Watt. Will Anderson has shades of J.J. Watt. The Cardinals load up on assets for next year as well. Just crazy news. The Texans loading up for the future, especially if they hit like the Seahawks and Jets did last year with their picks. My God, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with a few years from now, potentially a couple of years from now, because players are going to soon want to play in Houston. I know it sounds crazy, but wow. I did not expect the Texans to do this, but clearly they're trying to rebuild and, in a way, go all in at the same time.
Hey, we heard about it this morning. Like I said, I didn't think it was going to happen, but Texans are finally making moves. Your Texans fan, the very few of you that are probably left, got to be happy. Your team's finally turning it around. Got your franchise quarterback potentially, and got a defensive staple, the best player in the draft at number 3. Oh my goodness, I really just don't know what to say.
Yeah, it's crazy. For sure. Very crazy, man.
And now I got the Colts up. I think they do take Anthony Richardson. I think that's really the move, like I said.
And then
But
maybe Seahawks go Tyree Wilson or
yeah, I mean,
Jalen
it's
Carter.
still going to be interesting though if Richardson does drop.
I
I
feel
feel like
like
Richardson.
also to Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith is very humble. He might, because I mean, let's all be honest. He's towards the end of his career compared to like obviously these draft picks, and he just did win Comeback Player of the Year. And I mean, they could draft Anthony Richardson and allow him to learn behind Geno Smith because, in my opinion, these teams drafting young quarterbacks to start right away is the wrong move because I always believe that any vet is good to have in front of a rookie quarterback so the rookie quarterback can learn for a bit, at least for a season. That's always been my opinion. And I'm obviously high on Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and to be honest, kind of high on Will Levis and Hendon Hooker. But I mean, I do think a good vet is good to be around because if the Colts don't go Anthony Richardson and go Will Levis and Seahawks do go Anthony Richardson, then I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Richardson becomes the best quarterback out of the class because he had a vet to learn from. And so,
Yeah, I don't agree with that because, and we'll see if it happens with Jordan Love now learning behind Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he saw Aaron Rodgers turn one of the best quarterbacks of all time, learning behind Brett Favre. So, yeah, I do agree. I mean, the NFL is a completely different game from college. So throw out a guy just expecting them to be this great quarterback. It's not how it works. It takes years to develop in the NFL quarterback because it's such a difficult game. And I think that you do need to learn behind the vets and settle in. You need to settle in because it's not easy. We saw Brock Purdy do it this year, but Trey Lance looked a little shaky. And I mean, there are some guys that just go in and are insane. I mean, saw Joe Burrow, he's insane already. Trevor Lawrence is already really good, but it took him a year. Yeah, I think that you do need to learn behind a good quarterback, but there are some guys that are just so talented that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Cam Newton was one of them. Michael Vick, Patrick Mahomes actually learned behind Alex Smith and credits his greatness to Alex Smith. Too, I mean, Lamar Jackson had Joe Flacco for a bit, even though Flacco and Lamar struggled in the playoffs. Baker Mayfield actually didn't pan out well because he didn't have a great veteran quarterback to learn around, but obviously there are exceptions for rookie quarterbacks. I think a lot of these players are exceptions. Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. I feel like those are the three quarterbacks, if I had to choose, that would be stars, superstars. And I mean, 10 years from now, we might look back on this class and call it the deepest class, most talented class. Because even with Will Anderson Jr., that offensive lineman, I forget his name in the short, to be honest, I'm sorry. Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter. I feel like there's a lot of talent. This has the potential to be the deepest draft class, and players could even become stars in the later rounds. Like we've just seen, we always see so many talented late round picks. So I mean, for all we know, this could be the deepest draft class. But I think I agree with most picks so far. But the fact that Texans, they did give up an extra first from next year, but I feel like the Texans, oh, the pick is in, and the Colts have selected quarterback Anthony Richardson. I feel like this is, apart from the Texans trade, I feel like if I had to choose the top four picks, this is what they would be. This would what they would be for sure. Anthony Richardson, shades of Cam Newton, can throw a bit better, and I agree with the pick so far. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with as well. I'm 4 for 4 so far in my mock draft, so I'm definitely loving it. Yeah, I think Richard's definitely the right pick. Like I said, he is the right pick because you've already tried the Wentz and the Matt Ryan experiments, and that did not work out. So we get a different quarterback, different style quarterback, athletic freak Anthony Richardson. It's going to be interesting, and I think that it definitely will work out with that offense. I think it's time for Jonathan Taylor to get back after that rough start last season. And Pittman is also a beast. You got Alec Pierce. You got a lot of guys that can really thrive under a new offense like Anthony Richardson will bring.
Yeah, I agree. I think now the Seahawks will go for defense. Tyree Wilson, Jalen Carter. I feel like is definitely the move here.
Well, according to Adam Schefter, I believe it was, the phone is ringing for the Seahawks. A lot of calls coming in for the number 5 overall pick. We could see someone be trading up to get Will Levis. I'll have to see.
I don't know. I'm not sold on Will Levis, to be honest. He did play weaker teams.
No, I agree with you. I'm not a huge fan of Will Levis either, but I mean, he's had a lot of hype so far, so maybe he does turn out to be a very good quarterback. I don't. We'll have to wait and see. But
Yeah.
I think one quarterback people are sleeping on though is Dorian Thompson Robinson. He'd probably be like a second or third round pick, maybe even fourth. Who knows? But I think people are definitely sleeping on him. He had a pretty good year at UCLA last season. He's a very mobile guy, so maybe that's part of the thing. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest arm, But if you can develop that arm, he's going to be a beast. He's going to be like a Patrick Mahomes type. I think that's worth a shot, honestly, if you're a team that has a quarterback right now, but looking for a potential future quarterback. I think definitely taking a stab at him would be a great move for, like maybe the Bucks or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Seahawks, they'll be on the clock for a while as they're fielding calls for potential trades. I mean, they do have Kenneth Walker, and Dalvin Cook has been a name mentioned for the past few days, it feels like.
Jeez, 4.4340 for Anthony Richardson. That's actually crazy. That's,
Crazy. I mean, I just hope these Texans pick pan out because they've been pretty bad since their last playoff run. And, I mean, what they just pulled off is crazy.
yeah, I totally agree with that. And as a Broncos fan, this really sucks to not have this pick. Uh, I mean, Russell Wilson, I still believe that he will bring something special eventually to the table. I think that last year was just a fluke. Nathaniel Hackett was not a great coach. I think now the coaching team, Sean Payton, gonna have a way better season, but still Payne's to not have the number 5 overall pick. We could have traded up to get uh, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or something. Good for the Seahawks. I mean, the Seahawks, they have turned things around completely. You would not expect them to go from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith and make the playoffs and have a bright future ahead of them with Kenneth Walker, with Tariq Woolen, with all those young guys that they have. And if they hit on this number 5 overall pick, this team is going to be scary for years to come, especially if they can find another quarterback after Geno Smith.
I agree, and I mean, as for Denver, I feel like Russell Wilson's my really early pick for comeback player of the year because they obviously hired Sean Payton, signed new players, and I feel like Denver could be an attraction for some players sooner or later, but not Richardson, my bad. Wilson is, I feel like he's primed for a comeback player of the year because Tim Patrick was injured.
Yeah, I mean, injuries definitely did plague the Broncos, but I definitely expected way more from Russell Wilson. I had him on my fantasy team. I really traded for him, traded a lot for him, thinking he was going to be good, but unfortunately they didn't pan out. But I mean, he's proven that he is a good quarterback still, and I think that with the right coach, with Sean Payton now, things are going to be turned around. Sean Payton is just that good of a coach.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, yeah, as we predicted, the Seahawks have been on the clock for a while. I just don't know off the top of my head, like the veterans, the trade targets that have been mentioned the past few days, 1 week. I'm just not sure.
The news report now is that the Seahawks are sticking at 5, and they will pick someone. Pick's not in yet, but they are sticking with the number 5 overall pick. I assume they did field calls up until this last minute, but they didn't get what they wanted, and they will take their guy. I think it's Tyree Wilson, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone else. So there's a lot of talent in this draft, and I
Yeah,
feel like most picks are pretty good picks.
and I mean, with Ohio State's history, this is actually quite shocking, but CJ Stroud just became the first Ohio State quarterback to be selected in the top 10 of the NFL draft in 41 years.
Wow,
That's actually
I
really
definitely would honestly.
shocking stat.
Holy cow.
Yeah. I mean, the pick is in for Seattle.
We're seeing a commercial break though.
Yeah.
Gotta love the commercials.
Yeah. Especially when it says the pick is in.
Yeah, and especially when you have everyone else spoiling on Twitter.
Yeah.
Come on, just announce the pick. Dying to know. And then as a Niner fan, we don't have a pick this year, so not that happy about that. I mean, we did trade to get Trey Lance, and he hasn't been the greatest so far, but I think that eventually he will pan out. I mean, he's in such a good offense that I think it's hard to not pan out for him. Uh, but it is what it is. I think that it's really fun time for the NFL, no matter no matter what team you're a fan of, because these young guys, you're gonna probably drop in your fantasy team. You're gonna want to see them succeed. It's just the nature of life. I mean, it's so much fun seeing these other teams build up. And oh my goodness, wow, the pick for the Seahawks is a shocker. I'm not gonna spoil it because it hasn't been announced on TV, but it's definitely a shocker.
Dang. All right.
It's not. It's not one of two guys that you probably think it would be. That's for sure.
Wow. Okay. Devon Witherspoon, cornerback, Illinois. Oh wow. Oh, why am I blanking? Who's the dude who was like almost defensive? Tariq Woolen.
Yeah.
That is gonna be amazing defense. I thought to beef up that defense, they were gonna go Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson. I thought Tyree Wilson might have been a lock, but I mean, I guess not. Sure, it is a surprise, but it's not like when the Raiders drafted like the Cleveland Farrell dude.
Not for sure. I think it's a good pick, but it's not exactly what they necessarily needed. I think they needed a more of a edge rusher or a defensive lineman. But having Devon Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen is going to be deadly, especially when you already have like duos like Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey around the NFL. Um, this Seahawks team is going to have a very, very scary duo for the years to come. And they could be trying to rebuild the Legion of Boom, having that insane defense and helping out with that great offense.
I agree. I mean, the lines are on the clock. They've made signings. They've done pretty good.
Yeah, and this another team that take a quarterback, you don't really know. I think you got to stick with Jared Goff because you gave up a good amount to get him. But I wouldn't be surprised if they do take a quarterback here because things have been a little shaky. They're not. I mean, they're still on the come up though, and I think you got to draft a guy that can help you win now, like Jalen Carter. Having Jalen Carter and Aiden Hutchinson is going to be an insane duo. You would not want that coming at your head if you're any other quarterback in the NFL. I think that's definitely the right pick to go, but they could take a guy like Teddy Wilson too, another insane edge rusher. But I think they gotta go defense here. Gotta get another guy to bolster up that defense because the offense did pretty well, and of course you have the situation with the betting. The Lions wide receiver core is shaking up a little bit, but I think they can still succeed with Amon Ra and DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams and Jared Goff in that offense.
I mean, definitely. Amon Ra, this was his breakout season. A lot of fantasy teams succeeded because of him because Amon Ra was, excuse me, Amon Ra was, I mean, in our league, he was drafted in like the seventh round.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to trade for him, but of course it was too late by the time I saw his value.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you had him, it's really hard to lose because you have him at your flex more than likely, and have him do two wide receivers, your two running backs. I feel like it's really hard to lose. Oh, Arizona's training up number 6,
Whoa, what?
Adam Schefter.
Could this be a DeAndre Hopkins trade?
Oh my gosh, no, there's no. That would be crazy. That would actually be insane if DeAndre Hopkins is going to the Detroit Lions.
I mean, with Amon-Ra, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, Jared Goff, defense looking good too. They signed C.J. Gardner-Johnson, kind of on a contract to prove himself, because even though he was amazing with Philly, didn't really get the offers he wanted. But I mean, hey, with Aaron Rodgers now out of the division, that division could be wide open because, to be honest, Thielen did struggle. I thought they would have kept him on for one more season because, I mean, they obviously do have Justin Jefferson, and I don't know why you would trade Dalvin Cook. To be honest, you do have pick number 23, the Vikings do, but I thought they could have kept Thielen maybe one more year, signed weapons because, I mean, Jackson Smith Najigba might even be the pick if you want
Oh.
weapons.
The
But
trade is number 6 for number 12 and number 34. Definitely not what I thought it would take to move up 6 spots, but it's definitely an interesting trade for the Detroit Lions, in my opinion. You can get a defensive staple right here, Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter, but instead you fall back to 12. I guess they do have their eye on someone. I would assume. It's going to be cornerback at number 12 at this point.
I agree. I mean, the Cardinals could be getting Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson. I know that's a name we've been mentioning this entire draft so far.
Honestly, I think that's a pretty good move for the Cardinals. You do miss out on Will Anderson, but maybe they did have their eyes on Jalen Carter this whole entire time, and to see him fall number 6, had to pounce on opportunity to go get him. And they also got picks, additional picks to add to that team. So I think it is a pretty good move if Jalen Carter was their guy the whole entire way. Assuming Jalen Carter is the pick here, it could be Tyree Wilson as well.
I mean, the Raiders have a history of making like questionable picks, like again Cleveland Farrell, which didn't really work out. But obviously they've moved on from John Gruden. Josh McDaniels is staying. But I mean, could the Raiders be trading for? I mean, they have Josh Jacobs, I believe. I mean, Dalton Kincaid would be a huge reach at number 7 because I think he's the best tight end in the draft. You traded Darren Waller because apparently there was a fallout with him and the coach literally a week after he got married to Kelsey Plum, who happens to play for the Vegas Aces in the WNBA. Both of them were in Vegas. You traded the man a week after his wedding to New York, of course. But I think Dalton Kincaid is a reach. I feel like Raiders could be a team to watch out for trading down. A lot of the teams that have traded down this draft traded up. So Cardinals initially had number 3 and got down to number 12 and traded back up to number 6. Clearly, the Cardinals GM knows what he's doing, but let's see what this pick is. If it's not Jalen Carter, I think it is Tyree Wilson, and I think the Raiders do go for a defensive pick here.
Oh my gosh, I guess it's a shocker pick for sure. Definitely not what I expected if you traded up from number 12 to 6, but it's a good pick. What's about to come in, but not what I expected.
Ooh, so it is Paris Johnson Jr., offensive tackle, Ohio State. That was the offensive tackle I was talking about earlier in number 3. They would have taken him at number 3, so they did get a little bit more assets Since then, is the consensus top tackle. So they get an offensive tackle to protect Kyler Murray, but I mean, is Hollywood Brown ready to be wide receiver one? I do think they lack weapons. They lack a running back, to be honest. I don't know if James Conner is enough. Benjamin was playing really well, but they released the man for some reason.
Yeah, I mean that team has a lot going on, but I think now that they got a lot of assets and also got their guy in Paris Johnson, I think they know what they're doing. They're playing their cards right. I think that you got to trust your GM if you're a Cardinals fan. Seems to know what he's doing. He seems to have gone with the plan, and his plan seems to be playing out so far. I was definitely expecting though for the first tackle to go to the Bears, but Paris Johnson Jr. to the Cardinals is a pretty good move. Protecting for Kyler Murray, which he didn't have very much of these past few years. So maybe Kyler Murray can turn things around, but it's going to be tough, like you said. Without DeAndre Hopkins, potentially.
I agree. I think Raiders, Jackson Smith-Njigba would make sense. I mean, for weapons. But again, I feel like Njigba is like pick 15 to 20-ish range. So, I mean, if the Vikings do want another weapon, 23, they might trade up a little bit. And the Seahawks do have a second pick, so they could potentially trade down since they obviously did draft Devon Witherspoon. But Eagles, Bijan Robinson could still be there or the Falcons. I'm not too sure who their running back is. Bears. I think there's a fair share of teams that do need a running back, but this could be Bijan Robinson. I have no idea how to pronounce his first name, but that could be Bijan Robinson territory for sure.
Yeah, I agree, but like as we've seen in these past few drafts, the running backs is not really worth a top pick like this. Like they're usually worth like a 20 to 30, if that, honestly, because these running backs, they either have really short careers or they don't even pan out to be that good. Like we saw CEH, he hasn't been that great, and now it looks like uh, he's not even the running back one anymore on that team. It's definitely a huge risk to take a running back here, but Bijan Robinson looks like an absolute stud. It's like one of the best running back prospects in some time. So I think Bijan Robinson is going to be a stud, but it's just a matter of if he can stay in the NFL for that long, stay at a great level for that long, because it's really tough as a running back because it's so much wear and tear on your body.
I agree, and I mean Deonta Foreman is the Bears' first running back. The Eagles obviously need one with the departure of Miles Sanders. They do have Boston Scott and others. Yep, Tariq Woolen, Devon Witherspoon, potentially another Legion of Boom.
I mean, just imagine honestly if they trade up and get Tyree Wilson or something. That would be nuts.
That would actually be insane. I mean, I'm curious to see if a DeAndre Hopkins trade happens because a first round pick might be expensive. Maybe it'll take like a second and a third, if that, or something like that.
I mean, but it's been a lot of rumors about these trades, but as we've seen in previous years, all these rumors are just smoke and they never really happen.
Yeah.
Uh, Usually, all the trades that do happen are just shots out of left field, like AJ Brown. No one saw it coming, but we'll see if they get another one this year. I feel like it's definitely possible. Uh, but this, like you said, this draft class is pretty deep. It looks like a pretty good draft class. So a lot of teams are probably trying to stick in the draft and draft their guy. Raiders sure taking a while to get this pick.
The pick is reportedly in. I'm very curious to see who this is because obviously they did struggle unexpectedly in Devonta Adams' first season. Rodgers ended up getting traded, so this last season didn't work out for both Rodgers and Adams.
Gonna be an interesting pick, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like let's see if they draft. I mean, players that we expect them to draft.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think you gotta go with Tyree Wilson or something. Like just get non-quarterback is honestly what I think here. You don't take quarterback here, and maybe you try to see if you can get a Hendon Hooker or something later in the draft. Because I feel like you do need a quarterback at some point because you have Jimmy Garoppolo as your number one quarterback right now. I don't think it's a long-term solution. Could even be a short-term thing, like really, really short-term thing for all we know. We'll see. Pick is in. Come on.
Alright, I mean this pick isn't even getting leaked.
Yeah, I mean, who knows when this is happening. I guess we can go commercial break maybe? I don't know.
AB, not sure. I mean, obviously today we got the huge news. Lamar Jackson is indeed staying a Raven. So officially teaming up with Odell for at least one season.
I feel like if you're the Ravens, though, you still need another weapon for Lamar Jackson.
Easily, either a running back, potentially Dalvin Cook.
Here we go. The pick is in. Coming right
Oh,
now.
the Raiders have selected edge Tyree Wilson from
All right.
Texas Tech. I definitely agree with that. Him and Max Crosby, that is going to be a very dangerous defense. Very dangerous defense if everything works out.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's gonna be very, very scary, but of course things are still gonna be shaky with the quarterback situation. Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback, but as we've seen as a Niner, he struggles at times, and when you have more weapons like that than the Niners, it's gonna be hard to translate that to the Raiders, who don't have maybe as many weapons as Niners do, but they do have some great weapons, of course, in Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, the best wide receiver in the NFL, arguably. So maybe he can strive with a couple of great guys rather than an all around good team. Tyree Wilson though. Gee. Like you said, Tyree Wilson and Max Crosby is gonna be elite. I don't really know why teams don't build a defense like this. I feel like that's definitely where you gotta build. You gotta build from the D line up because you can have average guys at cornerback and safety and whatever, but because if you have that elite pass rush, they won't much time at all to get open. So just having average guys that can just stick with the guy for a little bit, having an elite pass rush is, in my opinion, the best way to build your defense.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I feel like that's what the Niners did for a while. Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas didn't work out. They got Javon Kinlaw. But I feel like if there's really like talented weapons, like if there is a running back as good as like well, Saquon Barkley's not as good as like Derrick Henry's of the world, Christian McCaffrey's of the world. McCaffrey was drafted pretty early in the draft, but if there's really talented receivers, Kyle Pitts isn't panning out that well. They did sign John Smith, so hopefully Kyle Pitts can rebound because he was drafted as a fourth pick. But there's really talented players like an offensive lineman, for example, we just saw drafted sixth, um, Paris Johnson Jr. But I do definitely agree that defense is the way to go if you do have a high draft pick.
Pick is in for the Falcons. It's gonna be an interesting one. There are definitely many ways the team can go. They don't have a clear. They don't have a glaring. Like you have to take this guy. You need to get this position. They can take a lot of things. Could go tackle. Could go cornerback. Could go edge rusher, safety, Jalen Carter. So many different options for them to go here. Well, I feel like for Philadelphia, Jalen Carter does fall. That's going to be an interesting decision. I think you have to go with that if he does fall that far.
That is very true. I mean, they could get Jalen Carter next to Grady Jarrett, who I feel like is kind of forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, you literally lost some good pieces of your defense. Lost Javon Hargrave, of course, and so to replace him with Jalen Carter, I feel like that's a pretty good trade-off.
I mean, they do have Jordan Davis, who they drafted last year in the first round, too.
Right. That is true, but yeah, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, that would be pretty nasty.
Yep.
I feel like at some point one of these teams has got to go best player and be able to take Jalen Carter. Can't keep falling this far.
Yeah, I mean, he did have that, like, arrest or whatever. I forgot why. So maybe character is an issue there.
That definitely is true. But I feel like sometimes you just gotta look the other way and maybe you can try to fix him up. Take the best player available because he is a beast. Arguably the best player in this draft.
Definitely. Maybe Will Anderson Jr., but I do agree with that.
And Will Levis is gonna be interesting to see where he goes too. I feel like if it oof, that's tough though. The Eagles are in a tough situation because you can either get Jalen Carter, who looks like he could fall, or you can trade back, get some future assets, and maybe get Bijan Robinson later rather than pick him at 10.
And Daniel, my friend from my Syracuse camp, said Raiders stink. He is a Chiefs fan. I mean, we agree with the Tyree Wilson pick. Uh,
I mean, you are wrong. They aren't the greatest team. The Chiefs are definitely way better than them. But
yeah.
I mean, when you have one of the best wide receivers in the league, you also need a good quarterback to put with him. See if Jimmy Garoppolo can be that guy, but I don't, I don't, I don't see it personally. I mean, he'll be a good quarterback, but I don't think he'll strive as much as he did in the Niner offense. I feel like the check down is definitely a huge part of his game, but for the Raiders offense, you don't have many check downs. You do with Josh Jacobs, but Devontae Adams is more of a deep threat than a check down guy.
No, this isn't NFL, but Haley Van Lith joining LSU, that's literally
Yeah.
equivalent to Kevin Durant joining the Warriors for women's basketball. That's actually insane. I just saw that right now.
Yeah, that team is going to be crazy. So I can't wait till next year's draft. Next year's WNBA draft is going to be nuts.
Exactly. Will Angel
And
Reese be in it? I
oh,
forgot what grade she's in. Wait, what?
the Eagles traded up apparently to whatever pick is the Bears pick.
We don't even know
Who
who the
knows how it's
Falcons
yeah.
are picking.
That's interesting. The Eagles traded up. Huh.
think they know who they want, I guess. It could be Bijan Robinson. Who knows?
I guess yeah, I would think so because I feel like Bijan Robinson's the only guy that you would fear the Bears are taking.
Yeah. I mean, Bears got like Tremaine Edmonds, had really solid, really solid signing.
Yeah, of course. Especially after losing 2 linebackers last year.
The Bills and Eagles could struggle. The Eagles do have all
Oh
the draft
wow,
picks.
the pick is very interesting. Being on to the second.
Oh, wow. It is Bijan Robinson.
Holy cow!
Damn. That could have been the Eagles pick. I think now the Eagles, Jalen Carter's the move.
I definitely think so. You have to go Jalen Carter, no doubt about it. Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Man, it doesn't matter can pan out. That team's gonna be nuts. Has all the weapons he needs. Wow. I honestly did not see that coming. I mean, they did add some good defensive pieces in free agency this offseason. So, like we said, the division is weak. So maybe if they can, maybe all the young guys can pan out, they can be a team to watch out for. Maybe make a playoff spot. That's crazy.
That definitely is.
Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Man,
I feel like if and Desmond Ritter, if they do play him first, which it looks like they will, they're a really good young team. They got Jesse Bates. They've been loading up too. They could potentially compete in a weak division. Derek Carr is with the Saints, so I do feel like the Saints is. I mean, I am a Panthers fan, but if we're being unbiased here, I think the Saints are. I mean, they have Chris Olave, who is pretty good too. Michael Thomas is going to be healthy. He has declined since his career year a few years ago, just a little bit. But with Derek Carr at the helm, I do think it's like Saints. I think Saints, Panthers, Falcons, Buccaneers, because Panthers, Falcons might battle for that number 2 spot, but I fully expect the Saints to win the division.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it's all up in the air because for all we know, we could see Kyle Trask just go off. I mean, learn behind Tom Brady. Kyle Trask could be a great quarterback for all we know, and he just leads the team to the number one team in that division because they already have enough weapons on that team uh, for him to play really well. So if he can pan out like Tom Brady did, learning behind him, I think that they could be a pretty slept on team this year.
I agree. I mean, Baker Mayfield is probably going to be the starter over there in
It is
Tampa.
true. I honestly forgot about Baker Mayfield to be honest.
I mean, I did too, but I mean, either way, I think they might not be.
I think you gotta give Kyle Trask a shot at this point, to be honest. But because
I agree.
Baker's been given it a shot multiple times by now, hasn't proven it, has panned out the way we thought he would be. So to give Kyle Trask a shot, and especially in the weak division, like just go for it at this point.
I mean, the trade was Eagles trade pick number 10 and fourth round pick next year to move up a spot at 9. I mean, they're still on the clock. I mean, maybe they traded up to try and get Bijan Robinson. I mean, I'm curious to see how far Jalen Carter drops. Obviously, it's not going to be any quarterback anytime soon.
I think for the Bears, I have a strong feeling that I is on Peter Skoronski, who I think the Eagles will not take. So I think it's a good trade for the Chicago Bears. move down a spot. They'll probably get your guy to get a future draft pick.
On what position is Peter Skoronsky again?
That's tackle.
Which tackle?
Definitely.
Which tackle?
Not sure.
I completely
I
forgot.
know he's up.
I mean, yeah, Peter Skoronsky, I agree, could be a great pick. The Bears actually look like they have a direction and kind of a weak division. He is an offensive tackle from Northwestern, obviously. Um, obviously, Paris Johnson Jr. was the consensus #1 pick. The Eagles' pick is in. I think Skoronsky will be the pick for the Bears to protect Justin Fields, and obviously, I don't think the Eagles pick an offensive lineman because obviously they have.
I mean, Jalen Carter's right there on the board. I feel like you have to take him.
Yeah, I mean, you lost Javon Hargrave too, so
Exactly. Number one need, it says defense tackle. So
exactly.
I feel like it's definitely the pick here for the Eagles. I don't know why else he would trade up. Or yeah. Titans though at 11. That's gonna be an interesting pick. But I think if Peter Skoronsky is not taken, it's gonna be a tough decision between him and Will Levis potentially. You need to know lineman for Derrick Henry, but at the same time, like QB is definitely potentially.
I
I mean, you
feel
do have
like
money.
Ryan Tannehill complicates things. The
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
Texans have no wide receivers whatsoever. Could that be Jackson Smith Najigwa's team? Because I feel like he is a first round pick, but Texans, not Texans, my bad, Titans,
Good.
they're kind of like a curious team because they have Tannehill, they paid him. Obviously, they're trying to go for the future. Malik Willis and Jalen Carter is the pick, defensive tackle, Georgia. Perfect pick by the Eagles. They are still a contending team because they did lose Miles Sanders, defensive tackles. They might sign a couple running backs, but I agree with the Eagles pick. They lost Javon Hargrave, just drafted his replacement perfectly. They get younger. Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, they have a great future at their defense, and they're still a contending team. They did keep Darius Slay too. So very, very crazy.
I totally agree with that. It's definitely the right pick here, especially since you're paying Jalen Hurts a ton of money in the next couple coming up years. So to get a young guy and save some cap space, get Jalen Carter's replacement for Javon Hargrave. It's a very, very, very good move for the Eagles.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
And the Bears, I think Peter Skoronsky is the obvious pick, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there is someone else there. Maybe a defensive guy. Oh, picks in already. Gee, that's fast.
I mean, maybe they're
Yeah,
sold on their guy. I feel like, I mean, according to the needs analysis, defensive lineman, offensive lineman, or cornerback. Cornerback, there is Christian Gonzalez left, but I feel like Peter Skoronsky because Justin Fields, he broke out this season with his rushing. They did give him DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, Jermaine Edmonds on the defense. Maybe they have their eyes set on the defensive lineman. I'm not sure who that may be if it is a defensive lineman, but Peter Skoronsky will add to a really good offense. I feel like that's the obvious pick. I feel like.
I mean, just imagine the numbers Fields would have put up last year if he had a great offensive line. He already put up insane numbers, but if he had a great offensive line like Peter Skoronsky will provide if he is drafted here, I mean, he's going to go absolutely berserk, especially now with DJ Moore. and Chase Claypool as wide receivers. In my opinion, he's one of the best options you can take in fantasy football this next coming up season.
I
Gotta
agree.
get that again. A good like semi-budget pick, later pick than you would normally get a quarterback. Of course, you want to get Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, but if you set up for Fields, it's not a bad option. Pick is in for the Bears. On. I think at this point, number 12 for Detroit has to be Christian Gonzalez.
I agree. I mean, they've traded down. Teams getting assets and everything. So
Yeah, getting assets and you still get a great quarterback, Christian Gonzalez, who they probably had an eye on. Probably had an eye on quarterbacks the whole entire time. To get Christian Gonzalez, likely at number 12, very good move for the Detroit Lions. I feel like everything's been a good move so far for all these teams. Hasn't been a shocking, terrible move yet so far.
yeah, Bijan Robinson might have been a little surprised, just a little bit, but I feel like other than that, I mean,
Yeah, that definitely is a surprise, but I think it's a good pick. I think to have those young guys on an offense is going to be a scary team for years to come. Come on. Ready to hear the Bears pick, guys. On. Definitely.
nah,
Oh, gee.
Schefter, what a legendary typo. He's updated by drafting Jalen Carter at number 9. Eagle GM Howie Roseman record remains intact. She, not he, even though he should be he. That's funny.
It's not as bad as Arson Judge.
Yeah.
That was, oh my gosh. I'll never forget that day.
All
The
right.
Giants fan.
She 37 seconds ago. Schefter correct. That's funny.
Come on. Number 10. Oh, huh. Oh, wow. Did not see this coming. See in just a few seconds. Pick is.
Best right tackle in this class. Apparently, I thought it was Peter Skoronsky, but maybe they prioritized right tackle. It is an offensive tackle to protect Justin Fields. I feel like now this was the first kind of bigger than a surprise pick of the season.
Yeah, sure.
But I
Got the
mean,
position right.
yeah. What are you gonna say?
So they got the position right, but I just definitely not the guy I was expecting. I thought Peter Skoronsky was known to be the second best offensive lineman in this draft, but I guess it's see something in this guy.
Exactly. Well, I mean, with that, thank you guys for tuning in to the NFL Draft Live Reaction stream. Maybe a stream soon, but thank you for tuning in to this live stream. See you guys next week.